refresh, to be honest. So cool. Right. Now, let's go back to our npm where we were. So, what we want to see is if the React Native Lego blocks have been published, or has been published. It doesn't look like it has. Okay, so for some reason, oh, I know why. So by default, when you publish to npm to your organization, the package gets set to private. And this is what the problem is, to be honest. So let me just quickly update the group again of the new stream, which I just created. And okay, cool. So we are back. Anyway, so this is the problem. What we have to do, we have to tell npm that this package is not private; it's actually public, and that we want it to be enabled for the public. So what we have to do, we have to go back to our Lego blocks up, and just as a reminder, I can show you what yarn publish does. So what we have to do, there you go, we have to do yarn publish access and set it to public. Like so. And it's not actually a new version, I mean, nothing has changed since then. But they want us to increment the version every time we actually publish something new to npm, so that's fine, and we can do so. So then when we go back to our package, now you can see that the package is public, and we should be able to... Oh, it's still not visible. Probably it might take a few seconds to be enabled in there. But going back to our React Native PhotoApp, that should be now enabled for us to be added to the project. So now we should have the access to the component library, which we called React Native Lego blocks, for obvious reasons. And now we should be able to have that package available in our project, and then we should be able to have the image action sheet component available as well, so we could actually import or we will be able to import the components directly from the Lego blocks. And this is the whole idea of having a reusable component library. And then yeah, we can basically have all the damp components, all the reusable components kept in the component library called React Native Lego blocks, and reuse them within our project. So it requires a bit of a maintenance, because now all of the components are going to be maintained within the component library. And in that repo, in a separate repo, there are two separate repos. So there is a question from Mohammed that he needs a help he needs some help with the image picker. So, as I'm understanding correctly, you're trying to upload a photo using form data, but the URI is not uploading. So I've got a couple of questions. What are you using on the backend? As it's very important. It really depends how your backend is handling all the image upload thing. And then depending on what the backend is expecting, you have to pass it exactly how they expect it on the backend side of things or on the server side. So I'm not sure what kind of backend services you are using, if it's something custom or if you are using Firebase or something open source. It would be great if you could just precisely tell me what you are using on the backend, and then this will be the first step probably to check what kind of format is expected on the backend, because it all depends on how the backend is structured, and then based on that you have to pass the form data with, you know, the image URI and things, and all the image metadata or the media asset metadata. But anyway, back to our React Native PhotoApp. So now it looks like we've been able to add the React Native Lego blocks with the Cellcode Digital namespace in it. So now, hello Varga. It's lovely to host you all again. Last week was very successful. We had quite a few viewers, and it was really satisfying for me. You asked a lot of questions, and it was actually quite interactive. So this is what this whole series is all about. I want to make it as interactive as possible. We've changed the overlay, so now you can see the entire workspace and nothing is overlapping the workspace, so you can see my screen perfectly. And actually, hold on, I'm actually lying to you, am I not? I think I actually am. So let me see what happened there, because what it should be, there you go. Sorry about that. I'm still getting used to this new overlay. There you go. So this is what you should see from the beginning. This is my entire workspace, all this stuff here, and then the overlay with the info is around it, and you can see the chat as well, so you can see where people are actually posting their comments. I'm going to be replying to your comments as we speak, as I chat, because I don't have time for typing back. So I'm going to be talking to you instead of replying in a chat. But anyway, let's get back to our PhotoApp. We added the new dependency, which is the React Native Lego blocks. It's our component library module or component library package. We now should be able to start the project, open it with Expo, because we're our projects are based on Expo. We are really kind of desperately waiting for Expo 33. So we are on Expo 31. So yeah, so we are waiting for Expo 32. There is a problem with Jest recently. Jest is giving this weird errors. I've noticed it before. It doesn't really do much to the project, or let me see. Yeah, this is what it is, unfortunately. We'll see how it goes when we will try to run it. So yeah, we are waiting for Expo 32. just so we have the access to the latest React Native 59 and React, because we want to be using hooks and all the latest features. I think Expo 32 is going to be released anytime soon, so either this month or next month. Oh, sorry, I forgot to open the React Native Debugger. I strongly recommend to use React Native Debugger, as obviously this React Native Debugger that is opening up by default in your browser, it's just not as good as React Native Debugger standalone kind of tool. So with the React Native Debugger standalone tool, you are able to debug Redux, all the state actions, and see all the reducers in there as well. So it's actually a very handy tool. Do recommend to use React Native Debugger. It is actually kind of a killer for your CPU, as it does a lot of things, but for what it does, it's actually not a big of a deal. Oh, it doesn't look like the project is actually willing to start. Okay, so there are a couple of questions from Mohammed. So first of all, thanks for the reply on the backend that you are using. Okay, so the backend is using Java. I mean, it's really hard to help you without taking a look at the request and the response. If you want, you can message me after the stream, and I'm going to try to help you out. But right now it's a bit of a kind of a specific problem, and you know, I don't really want to be spending much time on it whilst I'm streaming, because I would have to kind of like deal with your problem instead. And yeah, I mean, I'm really happy to help you after the stream. So if you could just drop me a message either on YouTube or on Facebook, wherever it's more suitable for you, that would be great. Or if you can just email me or follow me on Twitter, that would be great. So there is some sort of promise rejection, and it looks like there is a duplicate module name. Oh, I think I might know what that is. I think that is because our component library uses some dependencies, and those dependencies should actually be well, some of these should actually be peer dependencies, because we are using React and React Native and things like that in both of our projects, then we probably should make some of these peer dependencies. And obviously, because okay, so let me do the package changes. Let me just upload that and now publish it again. So I'm just going to bump the version again, publish the package now. So that's what the problem probably was. The React Native was duplicated in both of the projects, and I guess it was just kind of mistaking where it should be taking it from. I'm not sure. Would have to probably just get a bit more information on that kind of peer dependency. But another question from Mohammed is, Which one is best to use, Expo or React Native CLI? What's the difference with both? Which is best method to use for production? Now, that is a very good question. That is a very good question, and let me... There are actually a few questions, so let me answer one by one. Which one is best to use, Expo or React Native CLI? Now, it really depends what you are using it for. So, Expo is what React Native... Well, Expo is based on React Native, but Expo gives you a bunch of things, bunch of tools, bunch of components and things that are really useful for quick wins, for quicker achievements. So with Expo, you wouldn't have to worry about certain things, and Expo does things for you. You know, there are packages within Expo like permissions or awaiting the assets when the app loads and things like that. You know, it's just like kind of a set of tools or set of methods or components that are added on top of React Native and allow you to build things even quicker. The thing is that right now we're awaiting Expo, the latest Expo version 32, which is based on React Native 59 and the latest React and stuff like that. So Expo is slightly behind with the latest React and React Native versions, but they're going to be releasing it soon anyway, and they always kind of wait until React and React Native is stable enough to include it in their version, basically. Now, if you want to have more control over things, you definitely want to be using React Native, because with Expo you get all that kind of package, but everything is held within Expo. So if you can see right now in my files, there is no Android or iOS folders, and Expo deals with everything itself. So if you don't really have to deal with like native modules, if you don't have to add any extra modules that are actually required to be linked together through the React Native bridge to the native modules, then Expo is great, because Expo deals with everything. You don't have to touch Android or iOS. It kind of just makes it easier for you to maintain, and it brings a better user experience, I mean developer experience. But at the same time, it's actually limited in a way, because if you want to start adding native modules, if you want to make things a bit more custom, then it's not really possible yet. They are working towards that way, and you could actually eject to use Expo Kit, which means that your project will be pure React Native, and you would have the control over your settings and your configs, and you would be able to add the native modules as well as using Expo components. So they are working towards that kind of direction, and eventually I think with Expo 32 they're already going to have like custom builds and things, so you will be able to have all the benefits of having Expo and be able to control the native modules and everything with React Native. So you can't really tell which one is best method for production. It really depends what you're trying to achieve. If you're trying to build a quick app and you don't really have to touch native modules, and you don't really worry about, you know, like when the native modules are going to be enabled by Expo, then you can easily go for Expo. But if you are building a very bespoke, very custom app where you have to do a lot of custom things and you actually have to add native modules, or you have to touch the native code, then I would probably recommend React Native as it is, because it just gives you a kind of like better control over what you can do with the native stuff. But yeah, I mean, Expo is probably going to catch up at some point soon, so it's a great tool, and it gives you a lot of benefits out of the box right now. So yeah. Now anyway, okay, looks like we still have a problem with the app. Not entirely sure what happens there. Let's see if we can reopen it in a simulator. That's weird. Let me actually delete Expo. Oops. Oh, my simulator is going absolutely nuts right now. Let me just kill it and start things again. I mean, this sometimes happens. I mean, not that particular thing, but sometimes there is some sort of mismatch between what you are doing on your local host and the simulator. Happens very rarely. Okay, now it's better. I think now we are talking. Yeah, no problem, Mohammed. If you have any other questions, just shoot. I mean, I would recommend to read about Expo's upcoming version 32, which is going to have a lot of good stuff. I went to their conference very recently that took place in Krakow in Poland, and the stuff that they're going to bring into Expo is absolutely incredible. So the idea was that us developers, especially front-end developers or JavaScript developers, wouldn't have to touch the native code. And this is what Expo is all about. So Expo is trying to shield front-end JavaScript developers from touching native code. So the front-end developers, JavaScript developers, don't have to deal with any Java coding or Objective-C on the iOS side. So yeah, I mean, this is definitely a good news for somebody who doesn't have any sort of mobile or native mobile development experience and wants to stay close to JavaScript, which is great. I mean, Expo is actually a nice tool, and yeah, as you can see, they give you. So the thing is, they give you this app, the app of theirs, Expo, where you can run things on your mobile directly without even connecting it to your laptop. So you can just use Expo on your mobile, use the same login and password, and log into Expo's app on your mobile without connecting it to your laptop and see the project there, which is also great. But this is not everything what they do. I mean, let me just bring Expo.io. It's actually docs.expo.io. Oh, sorry, that's not the one. Features. Let me see. Not sure where they do. Yeah, I think they've changed their Oh, there you go. So you see now I think they released version 32. Oh, which is a great news. I think I'm gonna upgrade the project in a minute as well, because I think I'm still on 31 here. Expo. Yeah, 31. So there you go. There is a latest 32 version already released. And yeah, there you go. So they explained everything, all of the features that they are doing and why they are doing them. So even though you have things like linking in React Native or camera or things like that, they either improved it or extended it or made a different version of it with some other options. So what they also have on their websites is, or in their options, is that tool called Snack, where you can see all the examples and you can run it directly in the browser, which runs that kind of simulator, and then you can see how it works straight away in the browser, which is great. And this is the example of the blur view you can see in the background, for example. And there is so much from them. As you can see, there is the camera, all the constants which you need from your device, like device name, device year, blah blah blah, things like that. So as you can see, this is all their API, and these are all the different components that they do. And I think this is pretty incredible. So yeah, this is pretty good. But anyway, let me actually focus on what we have to do tonight, because it's taking ages and I'm not getting anywhere. So first thing is first, let's see on the home screen. This is going to be our playground for now, just to see if things work as expected. So what we want to do, we want to import, for example, a button and the image action sheet from our Silkooth Digital React Native Lego blocks. Right? Now, let's see if the button works, first of all. So I'm going to add it somewhere at the bottom of the page. Okay. Yeah, so I'm just going to add it below in some sort of view. Okay, so there is a warning from the button saying that the prop on press is required, but its value is undefined. So what we have to do, we have to provide the on press function to our button. Whoops. Sorry, I think I've added it in the wrong place. There you go. It has to be within the scroll view, because otherwise it gets hidden behind the actual this tab bar thing. Cool. So there is our button, which is perfect. I think we can provide a type. There you go. We can provide a type primary to it, which is also quite cool. Now let me. Hello, Ahmed. Hello, Thiago. It's alright, Mohammed. No worries. I mean, we all have loads of questions. I still ask many questions myself, or just Google things. And this is what this series is all about, you know, like this is where you can ask questions, because either somebody from the chat can answer you, or, you know, I can answer you if I know the answer. So the whole point of this series and those pages on Facebook and the Cellcode Digital page on Facebook as well, and the groups and everything, this is all about creating the community, right? So we all learn every day, and it's good to ask questions because we kind of help each other, or should be helping each other at least. But anyway, so I wanted to bring back the image action sheet, as this is what, oh sorry, not the wrapper, what am I doing? This is exactly what we want to be doing here. So we want to have a button which sets the state. Now let's put a state here. Gonna call it show action sheet, or image action sheet, and by default I'm going to set it to false, just because it has to be hidden by default. And there you go. And then we are going to get it from the state, which is great. Okay. Woohoo! Now it looks like both of our components work fine, just from the external component library that we have in a separate repo, which is great. It's absolutely amazing. Now we have this repo installed, and we just get things from there. So whenever we change something in this repo, in this project, it's going to automatically update, well, obviously after we install the new version, but it's going to update here as well, which is awesome. This is exactly what we wanted. Now the next thing is going to be to investigate the Firebase. So this is the main subject for tonight, actually. And let's see what they do. So in the products, Cloud Firestore, Cloud Functions, Hosting, Cloud Storage. Oh, there you go. So Cloud Storage. This is exactly what we need. So sorry, yeah, there you go. Going to bring it up. And this is the entire idea of us building this app, right? I mean, it's still kind of early days for the app, and we'll need to kind of style it at some point and do things like that, but it's okay. What's the help container all about? Okay, maybe we can just clone the styles for it for now, just so we have that kind of button centered and look better. So now what we want to do is to upload whatever gets selected. So whenever we select something from the library, Expo asks for the access, so everything works. And if you know what we were doing last week, or if you weren't with us last week, you can still see the episode on our YouTube channel where we were building this entire kind of functionality where you can select things from the camera roll, or you can take a photo with your camera. As you can see, There you go. All this weird text at the bottom is actually, this is the URI, the image URI, which we are going to be trying to upload to Firebase. Now, there isn't any kind of functionalities on this package, on this component that we build. So right now it just console logs the photo that we await, but eventually we will add some sort of handler here. For example, let's say on select, because that component, so this image action sheet component that we import from our component library is a dump component, so it shouldn't really contain any business logic. It should just tell us whatever you pass through the props. It should be as dump as that. It should just be a pure kind of function where it takes something in and it executes it in a way. It shouldn't really be connected to the store. It shouldn't have any side effects. It should just do the one particular thing that you want it to do. So in this case, it's the action sheet, image action sheet, which uses the alert, blah, blah, blah. And then on select, so we will have the image, which is going to be our object that we are console logging right now, but it's going to be there. And then we want to have some sort of handler here, uploading to Firebase Storage or Firebase Assets Storage. And then whatever that method is going to be passing the image, or it's going to be like a Redux action. I don't know how I'm going to do it yet. I'm not sure if we actually have the store. Oh, we do. Cool. So I might actually create the action here. Yeah, let's do it now. So what am I going to call it? Maybe assets, media assets. Going to call it media assets, where we will have our actions, our reducers, our index, of course, and types. So I can probably just copy things over from the index and call it media assets actions, media assets reducers, and media assets types. So then in the action, or in the actions, yeah, we're going to, hold on, this is a bit weird. We need the types from the types, and it's going to be called upload image, for instance, where we're going to have our image. Not sure, I'm just trying to kind of make it up for now. Upload image, this is going to be our type, and then in the payload, I'm not entirely sure what we will have to do here to make it uploadable, let's say. So for now, just going to make it actually, yeah, let's just make it a kind of a dump function for now. Then I'm going to export it. Export. There you go. So then upload image. Okay. Here we go. This is how I was doing it. Okay. Just to be consistent, I'm going to follow the same sort of convention. Just to make it consistent. Because otherwise, you know, if we start doing different things in different files, there is going to be no kind of consistency across the project, and this is the worst possible thing that we can do. Okay, brilliant. So we've got our type. Perfect. So in the action, we have our types, upload image, great. Now, let's get back here. Let's go to the console, because this is just the info page. I don't need the info page. I want to create. Okay, so we've got our React Native PhotoApp. And now there you go, there is the storage. So there are no files yet. Okay. Okay, so now let's go to React Native Firebase, because this is the library that we are using, I believe. Let me quickly double check. Firebase. Oh, we're actually not using it. Cloud storage. Yes, this is the one. So it's the Firebase.storage. Let's see if we can get it. So in our actions, going to import Firebase from Firebase. Now, oops. Let me see if this is actually going to work. So we have this, which is great. Now we can save it somewhere within our reducer. I'm just going to copy it over from the reducer I previously built, just to make it quicker. And instead of calling it user, going to call it uploaded image. And this is going to be an empty object. Load image. Now the payload is going to be this, right? So it's going to media assets. So it's going to save it in the store. I mean, this is only for kind of like this is going to be only for like demo purposes. Obviously we might to polish it a bit later on. So then the next thing is obviously to connect our home screen where we have our button to the store. So then whenever we upload the image, we're going to dispatch that action and actually save that stuff to Redux. So it's going to be called media assets actions upload image. and obviously we have to import media assets from somewhere. And lib store media assets. I'm actually going to import it from that's interesting. Let me see. Auth actions. Hold on a second, guys. Lib store app. Sorry, not from. Yeah. App actions types. User app actions. Default is app actions. Yeah, that's fine. Okay. What am I doing here? Guys, tell me. There you go. Okay, coolio. Now, let me just close all of these files that we don't need, just to clean it up a little bit. So now we are missing this prop on select, and this is what we have to add to the image action sheet, just so we have this enabled. Right, so let's go back to our component library where we have our image action sheet, and what we want to have is another prop called onSelect, which is going to be a function which has to be required, and then onSelect we need to destructure it. Now, instead of console logging that photo, we're going to pass it to onSelect, and obviously dismiss the alert box or the action sheet, whatever you want to call it. Same here, because we either want to select it from the library or handle the photo take. You can name it whatever you want. I'm just gonna call it onSelect for the time being, right? So then we'll have to update our image console log image, just so we update our story as well. I'm going to say onSelect prop added to image action sheet. There you go. I'm going to push it and we want to publish it again. There is another way of doing this. So the problem, okay, so I'm going to change it to 1.0.3. The problem, so normally you would be able to link it locally, and I would be able to link things from one project that I'm running locally to another using yarn link and then the package name. But because it's a React Native doesn't handle those packages locally, and therefore we have to publish it. So what I normally would do, I would normally just run it in the storybook, in the component library, in this one, and then it's a cool comment from Varga, that it's funny that I think that you understand. Yeah, I'm going a bit quick here, but it's not really a tutorial kind of show. It's not really like a course or anything. I'm gonna be doing those separately. This is only live coding, so I'm building this photo app because I'm trying out new things, and I'm kind of doing it so you can watch it. I'm not trying to teach anybody here. I'm just saying what I'm doing. I'm explaining what I'm doing as I go, just so you can watch, right? And then you can see me using all of those tools and things. And then if anybody can actually learn something from it or see how I'm doing things, then cool. But yeah, it's definitely not a kind of like a learning or teaching kind of show, as I'm gonna be doing that differently. It's just some sort of live coding series where I'm building it up using React Native, Expo, Firebase, Circle CI, Storybook. You know, I do a component library as well, and I'm only just explaining what I'm doing as I go through things, but I'm not really trying to teach anybody. So that's the difference. And yeah, you know, from time to time I just answer the questions that you might have. So this is what it's all about. I'm probably gonna be doing, so I'm still aiming to do another 10, maybe 15 episodes of this series, because I want to kind of finish this up. I want to be able to you know, upload the photos, store them somewhere, and display them as well, and then maybe adding some sort of settings here, and then authentication at the end. So it's gonna have some basic functionalities like uploading things, fetching the data, setting the authentication. Everything is based on Firebase. So it's just kind of like an example app, if you like. But I want to record or live stream the entire process of how I'm doing it. So, but yeah, I mean, yeah, it must be really funny for you if you don't really understand what I'm doing. This must be like hilarious, like me talking some sort of gibberish. But it's still cool. It's still cool to have you guys here. And yeah, I've changed the overlay. I've changed the layout of what you can see on the screen. As okay, I'm not sure if this actually, oh cool. Yeah, I've changed the layout so you can see everything, and you can see people chatting as well. I'm streaming to like 4 different platforms. Okay. So let's see if that console logs first of all. I'm not sure why this should have the yeah, the live reload. I'm not sure why this doesn't really have the live reload. So whenever I save, there you go. Just needs kind of a hard reload. Yeah, so let's see if that console logs. Perfect. Oh, this is just crazy, isn't it? So that console logs the stat for us, which is good. That's what we wanted to have. Now let's handle image select, and that will have the image as a callback. So we want to have it there. There's handle image select. So this is going to be our handler. And we have our action upload image. So now we can upload image. Now we can destructure the props and pass the image. Okay, it's missing the props validation. Prop types function is required. There you go. So now when we pass the image right there, we want it to be available in that action. Okay. Handle image select. That didn't seem to call the action though. Let me see if it's actually upload image. Let me actually see if it's there. Function anonymous. Let me debug it properly. Yeah, so as I was saying earlier, I really do recommend to use React Native Debugger, the standalone one, as it comes with really powerful tools for debugging. It's like super crazy. Okay. So something is upload image. Something is wrong. Media actions. No, wait, what am I doing? So for some reason it's not being called. Payload timestamp. I'm not sure why this is not being called. Probably doing something silly that I can't really All right. Ah, of course. So we have to await it. Because we are using Promise middleware for the actions. Hold on, let me open the Redux. And okay, oh yeah. Now I understand what I'm doing wrong. So I have to add media assets, reducers, obviously from media assets, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Media assets reducer. Export default. Yeah. That looks about right. Okay. Now, actions. Still don't think it actually gets there. So it looks like I'm doing something wrong here. Yeah, I'm doing definitely something wrong. Don't need that one. That's what it is. So that's what we will probably have to do, but we'll do it differently. So that's what we have to do, pretty much. So I'm gonna console log that image, then the payload is going to be the image, and we just need that guy. Okay, so now okay, there you go. Just needed a bit of a cleanup. Not sure what happened with the app. I think it just kind of got stuck. I mean, yeah, it would be probably good for me to do like a bit easier Maybe not serious, maybe not like... Oh, what happened there? Maybe not like live coding, or maybe even live coding, but with way simpler examples. Probably every episode would be a different kind of like thing to do. So so you could give me some sort of ideas of what you want me to do, and then I would just spend I would spend the time on that episode explaining that particular thing, if it was within like 1 hour or whatever. But that's the idea for another kind of for another series. Anyway, here we go. Now this is what it is. So this is our image. This is what we get back from our component. There is also the Firebase storage. So we see the Firebase, which is awesome. And we can see the name. It's called default. Not a difficult name, is it? But what we want to do, so we have the storage, blah blah blah. Okay, these are the methods. Is this what I want? Cloud Firestore. No, I think this is the storage, isn't it? Yeah. I don't want to ref from URL max upload properties type. Nah, that's not what I want. So now what I'm looking for is the method that I want to use to upload things to the Firebase storage, right? And I'm kind of looking for that one to happen. Storage, task event, storing format, storage reference. I need some sort of docs, because I'm not entirely sure. Oh, there you go. Go to docs. So I have to find out from the docs what is the best way of uploading things to the storage. Okay. Every click is a step forward or a step closer. Upload files, but this is directly on. This is directly on the Swift. Okay, cool. Create a root reference, upload files. Create a reference to images, upload from a blob or a file. Okay. From a string. Okay, base 64. Base 64 URL. That's exactly what we need. So what we want to have is a reference. So we need the storage reference. So we're going to create, I'm not gonna call it a var, I'm gonna call it a constant. So this is going to be our storage reference. And then from that reference, we want this guy. Okay, so just gonna console log storage ref first of all to make sure that it actually is defined. Okay, so it looks like it is defined. Now let's put that image. Oh god, it logs it, sorry, it console logs it forever. So that's why, because I just console log it there. But what we want can't be any bigger, literally. Like it's just crazy. It's not even possible to read it. Wondering why it doesn't actually log in here. Maybe it does. There you go. So we want the image base64 to be uploaded. So this is actually the thing. So we want the payload to do this. We can do then response return response, or we can console log it there as well. Yeah. So we create the reference, we then return the type and the payload, and in the payload we actually put a string into that reference and console logs the response and return the response. So the payload, so the response of that call gets saved to our Redux. Okay, so there is a message saying the Firebase Storage, the operation put string cannot be performed on a root reference. And that's because this is the root reference. Create a non-root reference using child, such as .child file name or whatever. So that means we cannot put things on the root references. What we have to do, we have to create a reference to that child, right? We can put a subfolder, and we can be actually quite clever here. So from that image object actually returns the media type as well. So I know that in this particular case, actually, yeah, it's called upload image. So, but there you go. So it says what kind of type it is, and we could, if we had this upload a bit more generic, if we called it upload media, we use the type of that image to pre-populate the category for that reference, But there is actually another thing. Okay, but anyway, let's just create a reference to that child. So technically, we could have that storage reference up there and then create a new one as a child here. So image reference, I would call it. And then the storage reference would have a child, and this would be the name of the image, right? So there are a couple of ways of doing it. We could actually take it from this URI. Okay, so we could take it from the URI and stringify it. So instead of having this guy here, we could use image URI, and then the image ref will be used. Okay. Oops. It looks like we can't call it outside the function. As it probably creates like a... Okay, another message. Firebase Storage. String does not match format base 64 URL. Invalid character plus found. Is it base 64 encoded? That's a good question. It probably is. So what would we have to do? Put string. What if we used the URI function snapshot? Snapshot. Let's see if we can actually use the put function and let Firebase SDK kind of deal with this. Nope. Reference put. It's probably because now we are adding it as an image. So I'm assuming that we have to do it on the root object. Nope. Nope. Okay, so we will probably have to decode. Hello, Francisco. Yes, this started from scratch. It's actually a, I think it's 12th or 13th episode. So I don't know what you mean from scratch. We started from creating a repo in GitHub and then adding all the tools alongside, and this is where we are in our episode 12 or 13. I can't remember. I actually lost the track of it. But yeah, I think you can follow all of the episodes on the YouTube. on Selcook Digital YouTube channel. There is a playlist where you can follow everything episode by episode. So yeah. Anyway, let's go back to our base 64. Maybe I'm gonna use it as just base 64, not base 64 URL, because it is actually just a base 64. So hopefully I can now select it from. Oh, sorry, it's not a put anymore, is it? It's put string. There we go. This is gonna work, then it's gonna be a quick win as well. Cause, oh, there you go. Okay. Right. So. Okay, I see. So, hold on. This is very promising. It's again a step ahead again. Oh, thanks Francisco, that's very kind of you. I'm not actually doing much, to be honest. I'm just trying to I'm just trying out the Firebase here, and what I really want to see is if we can use Firebase out of the box to actually upload images, store them there, kind of create like a very basic database and put the authentication around the React Native application, because this is what they're claiming it is for. Anyway, back to the project. So the message now says the Firebase Storage user does not have permission to access file user blah blah blah. Okay. Now this is interesting. Right. I have to change the authentication, as because by default they require the authentication. And I want to change it, right? I want it to be public, just so we can upload the file for the demo purposes. Let's see if we can change it here. Rules. Here we go. Aha. Cool stuff. We don't need that guy. Let's go back to the docs. And sorry, I was meant to. Authentic storage, yes. Web, upload files, that's exactly what we need. And now let's change. Okay, now that is published. Not entirely sure if I have to reload the app or if it's gonna read it automatically. It should be fine, I believe. Okay. Oh, there you go. So there is our uploaded file with a success. I definitely have to handle it differently in the storage. But so this is the metadata, which has the full path. This is the reference. This is the task. Now let's see if we go back to the storage, if we can actually see the file. Okay. So now this is a problem, because this is where we have to change how the files get uploaded, right? Basically what we want to do is to call the folder images, and then we want to have something unique here, like a unique kind of file name. And yeah, I mean, how do we do it? Well, first of all, we could actually take it from the image URI and stringify it there, for example, I believe. Stringify it there, just to take the last part of the file name, so it doesn't give us like the full path, but actually there could be another way of doing this. So we can either have it automatically, sorry, not stringified, automatically subtracted from the file name, or we could have a different solution, right? Because we are developers and we kind of have the best ideas. We can potentially have an input file. I'm just thinking of having like an input file where we provide the file name. So first of all, you upload the photo, you kind of save it in the store, and then the next thing would be to upload it to Firebase, right? So this would be another solution, and then obviously the image would be taken from there, but also the file name. So this will be the image, and then there will be file name. But because it's a demo, I can just do something quick here for now. So I'm going to do the image URI. Take last. Last 6. So what we want to do we want to do image URI minus, I don't know, there are 3 characters for the extension, another one for a dot, and maybe another 2, so in total it's like 5, right? Oh yeah, we can do that as well. Keep forgetting. So let's see how that works. We can also add some sort of loading animation here until it runs it. Right. So let's. Oops. Is that console log image? You can see when it kind of finishes the task. So if I refresh this guy here, should be able to see the images folder. Excellent. So now we can see the image. So that kind of file I can delete. So we don't need that, but we can see images, and then in the images there is undefined file. The type is also wrong because it says application octet stream. That's not what it should be. It should be a media file, right? So there we go. That's how we can add the metadata. And we're going to add it right at the top as a constant, obviously, not a var. We don't want that. So as a child, that's the thingy. And then okay, so when uploading a file, you can also specify metadata for that file. This metadata contains typical file metadata properties such as name, size, and content type. Commonly referred to as MIMI type. Cloud storage automatically infers the content type from the file extension where the file is stored on disk. I actually forgot to add JPEG at the end. As obviously that is what we want to have. URI, yes. But normally, yeah, I mean, there should be a way of adding a name for that file, and we probably should add some sort of text input where we add the name for that file and then we upload it together with the file. So there would actually be a couple of actions here. One would be select image or pick image, where this will be the action for our image action sheet or image picker, whatever, and then this image would be image to be saved in the store in Redux. Then the second thing, yeah, so we pick the image, we then have a text input where we can provide the name, and we use the upload image to upload the image together with the file name. Oops. Right. And obviously that file name would replace this guy here. So this file name will be there, right? Where we have images, file name, JPEG. Obviously, we definitely want to have some sort of mechanism which checks for the file name if it already exists. And it would be great if there is something like that from Firebase. I'm wondering if they actually do. They must have some sort of method out of the box which checks if the file name already exists, and then you just handle that kind of message. But anyway, for now, let's forget about the metadata. Okay. Just need to save a couple of things. Now, let's upload this waterfall. Keep forgetting about that. I think I might just get rid of that console log because it keeps scrolling forever. It drives me nuts. So, still didn't kind of work, did it? Nope. So we can download it as a JPEG image. Let me see if that actually works, because I'm curious. But what we really want is, okay, so I downloaded it to my desktop, and this is what the file is like. So you can see that it works. You can see that it gets uploaded as well. Obviously, wondering if I can. Nope. Download URL. Nope. It's a bit weird that we cannot preview it directly in the browser. It only allows us to download it, but we can't really preview it. And I'm wondering if that's because the type is wrong. So let's see if we can fix it by providing the metadata. This is what we actually got rid of. So put file metadata, put string, storage child, yeah, put, and then update metadata. Let's see. I'm not sure how and from where they get this file, which is a bit weird. It's probably from there. probably not gonna work, as the first argument of a put is yeah, there you go, requires blob or file API. We could potentially update that kind of task afterwards, I'm assuming. So, from what they said, there you go. Okay, that's one thing. Update metadata, there you go. So what we have to do is to do image ref update metadata and then pass the metadata there. Which means that we have to do it first and then await it, and then do something afterwards, which can be done like this, which is a bit weird. I mean, we kind of have to nope. It's a bit weird because we should be able to pass the metadata before we upload them, right? That would be a normal way of doing things. So we don't want to get the file metadata, we want to add the file metadata. But weirdly, put method yeah, put bytes. We could do another thing. We could actually use a JavaScript file where there you go. We could create a new file, and basically that's what we could do in the first place. So instead of doing this, we could just do media asset, and then that will be a new file, where in the file we would have to define all necessary things, and yeah, kind of put it through the file. So then we could use that instead and provide the metadata in there as well, but we just run out of time, so I'm gonna keep it until next week. And yeah, next week we're gonna be generating that file and then using Firebase directly from the file where all the metadata and everything is gonna be created. Because it looks like it's actually easier to do it from a file. As you can see, there you go. And the metadata will be there as well. And this is probably like the cleanest solution. And then obviously, well, you can see that we already managed to upload the file, so everything works. Obviously, you want to change the rules back to be authenticated and then have the authentication around your app. But for the demo purposes, we kind of omitted that. And yeah, I mean, it's been kind of interesting how quickly it is possible to upload the assets and store them on the backend service without having a proper, it's like a serverless backend, right? It's not really serverless, but it's like a cloud service where we can just connect to it, upload things, and start using it. Obviously, the next step, or one of the next steps, let me actually go back to Trello. Oops. Double L in it. So the media assets collection, that's how it gets created automatically. So we've done that. We access the Firebase asset storage as well. So we kind of did that as well. We did it there. So obviously, you know, if you want to see how we configured Firebase, I think it was one of the first videos that we did. I think episode 3 or 4, where we were connecting everything to Firebase. So now I can just import Firebase and use it because I have this end file where I use the secret keys and stuff to get connected to the Firebase. And then obviously the next step is going to be to create a new file object in JavaScript, fulfilling it with the information that we get from the image action sheet. And then by using that reference, we are going to be uploading it to Firebase. So we first create the instance and then the instance of the file, and we use that reference to upload that instance of a file to Firebase. And obviously we use the image action sheet component to upload assets. So that is also completed. So the next thing will be to create a new file instance fulfilled with the information from the image object that it gets passed to this upload image function from the image action sheet component. So this is gonna be the next thing, and yeah, and then we're gonna be done with the actual image upload. Then the next thing is going to be to access the database and store the asset information in there. So it's gonna be kind of like a chain of things, or like a set of actions where we select the image, we kind of upload it to asset storage, and then if everything goes well, we're going to save the information in our database to either this particular user or something, so then we can retrieve it later. Or for example, I don't know, you know, uploading the image to the collection, and that collection is gonna be like an array, and then we're gonna be displaying that array in the app. I don't know, we'll think of something cool. So yeah, so I think that's pretty much what we are gonna be doing next week. And oh, sorry, there are a couple of questions from Salmon Paul. Oh, sorry, there is one from Salmon Paul and one from Jonas Yabiri. So I'm gonna answer Paul first. So which simulator am I using to render the mobile? So I'm using React Native and Expo, and this is the simulator that comes from Xcode. So Xcode is actually a built-in Mac. It's actually a software for mobile development on Mac. This guy here, and it has its own simulator, and React Native and Expo is based on that. So whenever you install React Native and Expo or React Native, it gives you that kind of simulator by default. And the second question is, what is the name of the software used for coding? So I'm assuming you're asking for the text editor that I'm using. The text editor is called Visual Studio Code, with that logo, and it's a Microsoft tool, or a tool created by Microsoft. Surprisingly, this is probably the only thing they managed somehow to build properly, because all other things are a bit buggy. But yeah, this is what it is. If you enjoyed the video, if you liked the video, would be great if you could leave a like or a comment down below the video. And if you want to be informed about the upcoming videos or live streams or the news from the front end world or technology in general, please do subscribe to Selco Digital YouTube channel, as there is definitely going to be there's going to be definitely more stuff coming up. So stay tuned, and yeah, I mean, this is it for tonight. Thank you very much. You were great as always. You left a lot of comments and a lot of questions, which I do appreciate. Thank you very much for watching, and bye for now.